Hello everyone and welcome back to BlenderDiplom.com. I'm Gottfried Hofmann and this is another Blender 2.8 preview video. I'm gonna show you the new camera widgets. I got the camera selected already and you see here this new yellow outline, that rectangle, and when I click and drag it, you see I'm changing something. And what I'm changing is the focal length, as you can see on the right. And thus I can go from a wide angle shot to an extreme close-up by just clicking and dragging the widget here, which also allows me to focus on the very important things or the most important things in our scene. But anyways, this is the first widget. It allows us to change the focal length. There is a second one. It's a bit hidden. You have to go to camera settings and then down to viewport display and then limits. And now this cross appears. And when I click and drag it, you see I can click and drag it. It is a new camera widget, but what does it change? Well, let's go up to here to depth of field, and here we see focus distance, and this is exactly the value that we can change using this widget. So let me go to top view and show you the effect here on the right using the Eevee render engine. But for this, we first have to decrease the f-stop quite a bit. Let me go to 0.3 and then go to render settings. I'm using the Eevee render engine and turn on depth of field. And now you can see the effect. I can change the focus distance and thus define which part of the which parts of the scene are in focus and which are not. Pretty handy and pretty cool, but beware that those new widgets can also be a bit tricky, and that is, say I'm using left click select, which is the new default. I got the camera selected. I want to deselect everything, so I click here. Now everything is deselected, but the camera is still active because it was the last selected element. You can see this by this orange dot here, and thus the widgets are also still active. So say I want to reselect my camera, and now I can easily instead click on this widget and, for example, change my focal length. Or let's say I want to select this cube here and instead I click here and oops, I change my focus distance. So I've seen people, I've seen this happening when doing newbie courses, so this is actually a real issue. If you don't want this to happen, you can switch over to right click select, which was specifically made to counter those kind of problems. And now something else, and that is a look into the future of the camera widget, and that is the developers have also thought about what would happen if the user looks through the camera view, because currently in the camera view the only widget we can use is the one that changes the focus distance, but we cannot change anything else. So this here on the right is a so-called mock-up. Think of it like this area, this dark gray area, as the passepartout. This is the gray area we have here. And those symbols we have here, think of them like they are attached to the camera when in camera view, down here. And then you could click and drag them and, for example, tilt the camera, pan it, dolly it, or zoom. But this is not implemented yet, and it might not even make it into Blender 2.8. So this on the right, it's the future, and I think the idea of those extra widgets is really good, especially for beginners. But what do you think about those widgets that are upcoming? And do you have any ideas of other widgets that could be implemented for the camera? Well, please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. And if you want to see more videos about Blender 2.8, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. And if you want to stay in touch about Blender 2.8 even more, we got a new newsletter, or we set up our newsletter again. So you can subscribe it and stay up to date in Blender 2.8 development. Link to it is down in the description of the video below, right next to the link to the Blender 2.8 preview builds, in case you want to try this yourself.